I'm Joe Streeter, the news editor of Payment Expert, and today it is my absolute pleasure to be joined by the Chief Corporate Development Officer at Nuvei, Neil Erlick. Neil, firstly, how are things? And secondly, can you just give us a little bit more about your decorated history within the payment industry?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with you and the team. I'm doing well, all things considered. Everything's going very well. I sound old when I say it, but I actually got my start in the payments industry about 21 years ago. I was one of the first employees at a company that's now known in this industry as PaySafe, where I helped kind of start that business from what was ultimately a startup into a multi-billion-dollar firm that was then sold to private equity. I was there for 19 and a half years. So I left at the end of 2019. And then in January of this year, I joined Nuvei, which, for those that don't know, last September had the largest tech IPO ever in Canada. And Nuvei is a large global payment technology company. We operate in over 200 markets around the world. We have over 455 different alternative payment methods in 150 currencies. We recently added 40 cryptocurrencies to the mix, and really all through a single platform. So a single integration, a single platform. So our goal is really to make the world a local marketplace by connecting our customers with their customers and enabling payments both on the way in and on the way out, wherever they're located around the world.
Brilliant. And I guess being at the helm of PaySafe during such change and such evolution, it left you well positioned for the rapid change that the whole sector has just experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think, I used to tell people all the time when I've been in this business for 21 years, they say, don't you get bored? Is it, you've been doing it for over 2 decades. And I said, the digital payment space specifically changes almost on a daily basis, right? So with the new technology that's always coming in, if you would have asked us 5 years ago, would we be offering 40 cryptocurrencies to thousands of merchants around the world? I'd look at you like you were crazy. We just launched that. The digital platform that we have, the technology that's changing. Again, we talk about money in, money out, the alternative payment methods that we have around the world, the ability to increase acceptance rates around the world through our technology and our machine learning and what we've been able to develop in Nuvei, is really, really impressive. And so you're right, things change very quickly, but that's also one of the benefits of working with a company like Nuvei, because we handle kind of all the heavy lifting on behalf of our partners. So wherever they are around the world, they don't have to worry about what's changing and how quickly it's changing. Yeah. We take that stress away from them.
I guess with that, it really elevates the importance of having a strong communication with your clients as well, and having really strong links and being able to quickly adapt to what they need.
For sure. I think, I'll say two things. A lot of people talk about providers and clients. We talk about our partners. And so, everyone that works with us really is our partner. And why they're our partners, we listen to them, and we like to offer them what they want and what they need. So the beauty of our platform is that it's all customizable. All of our services are available a la carte. We don't have a solution in a box where we force it upon our customers. And when you think about all the different markets we're in, around the world, people have different needs in different countries. So what we aim to do is to provide a solution for them, always with the thought of how do we get them as many approved transactions? They're spending, in certain cases, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to acquire new customers. So how do we ensure that when someone comes to their site, we are giving them the tools, again, on the money in and on the money out, to pay for that good or service, whatever they're looking to do, in a safe environment, in a fast environment. And that's going to change from country to country and from market to market.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And if you don't mind, just be specific on some of the regions that you're currently working in for those that don't know.
Well, again, we said at the beginning, we operate in over 200 markets. We obviously have a big market in Europe. Obviously, LATAM is growing like crazy. North America is obviously a new focus for us. So it's really all over the world, Joe, where we are. We have local acquiring in over 35 countries. We have, again, the 455 different payment types. And I go back to, why is that important, right? Why is that so important? People hear, well, why do I need 455 different payment types? because every market in the world operates differently. So, and it goes one step further. I talked about acceptance rates, but if you have a client that's in Brazil, or you have a client that's in Mexico or Colombia, then you have a client that's in Germany, when they use our cashier, we're not going to show the same payment types for those customers that are going, it's the same merchant. The merchant's operating in different countries, but we want to ensure that we're not going to show the same payment solutions for a customer in Germany as a customer in Mexico. And so it's all, through our technology that and our experience that we're able to see, well, what's going to have the highest acceptance rate in which market, and then offer that to the customer so that they have the best user experience possible when they go to any of our partners.
Wow, that's fascinating. And I guess that is having that flexibility and being able to be customizable. That really equips you well in North America specifically, and in the States, because state by state is essentially a different market, right?
Yeah, so you know better than anyone that you're right. In the States, as it relates to gaming, the rollouts on a state by state basis. Different states have different rules. Again, I go back to the flexibility of our platform and the technology, and why that's important. So through our single integration that we have, our one platform, one back end, one back office, we have plugged into every single deposit type that is available in the US today. So again, when we talk about our solutions, and it's a la carte, so you don't need to use us to connect all of them, but if you want to, you can. We also have local acquiring solutions. So listening to our customers and hearing what they need, we know that there are some incumbents in place that they'd like to see, either for redundancy purposes or an improvement in service and technology. So we're now coming to market with additional acquiring relationships. And then for those who didn't see on Friday, we announced our intention to acquire Mazuma with our definitive agreement. And we think that's also a game changer, with what they bring from account to account payments, their relationship with Plaid. We had a previous acquisition about a year ago called Base Commerce that helped us with our ACH capabilities. So we feel really comfortable with, our positioning moving forward in the US with all the different payment types. But not only because we're comfortable, we think that we're bringing a great solution to our merchants and our partners, and ultimately for their customers. Acceptance rates has been a problem in the US since the launch of iGaming in the regulated markets in the regulated states. And we feel that Nuvei, through our technology and the recent acquisitions, we're very well suited to cater to the needs of not only the merchants, but their customers.
Yeah. Obviously covered the acquisition last week, and it seems like feels like a really big acquisition. It feels like one that can have a significant impact on the market. And what led to it? What led to it a little bit more, and what are you hoping to gain from it in terms of your strong relationship with your partners?
Well, look, I think we talk about the relationship and we talk about the partnership that we have. So again, you'll hear our CEO talk a lot about, our approach in the US, which has been this crawl, walk, run approach. And so the fact that we have 14 years of gaming experience, around the world as an acquirer, using that experience and using the relationships that we have, we've become the subject matter experts in the field, right? So if you look at some of the stuff that we've done as a company, and now that, that I've done, I sat on the board of the Fantasy Sports Trade Association in 2015, 16, 17 with the CEOs of DraftKings and FanDuel to help shape that market when, the daily fantasy sports world was blowing up.
Yeah.
Nuvei recently joined the American Gaming Association. I sit on the board of the American Gaming Association. We did the same thing for the Canadian Gaming Association. I'm not telling you this to talk about my background and my resume. I'm telling you because we're so committed to the industry and to our partners in it that, again, I bring up this partnership term. We're not just a provider, right? We want to help shape the policy. We want to help shape the framework. We want to understand what's going on in every state. What's going on with the regulators? What do the merchants want? What do the consumers want? How do we help them? And that goes back to the technology aspect of that's our experience side. But on the tech side, how can we then leverage our experience and give the customers and the merchants the best possible experience so that when someone comes to make a deposit on their site or ask for a payout, they can do so very quickly and very safely.
Yeah, I love that terminology, that mantra of the crawl, walk, run. And if you could just highlight some of the dangers of potentially taking the opposite approach and the haphazard approach and just, full scale sprinting and running from the off, if you like.
Look, and there's people that'll do that.
Yeah.
We look at it a little differently. Um, to steal kind of some of the words that you've heard some of my peers say and a lot of the industry CEOs, to take that sports analogy, is a lot of people believe this is just the first inning, right? It's just the beginning for sports betting and for gaming in North America. And so when you think about that, there's still so many states, some of the largest states, that haven't even come online yet. So again, is California going to open up? There's exciting news out of New York, obviously in Texas, and Florida. Some of the biggest states in the U.S. aren't open, and others only have sports. Others don't have sports yet. So we believe that the market's only going to continue to grow. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And again, what we've done is we've taken an approach of establishing the framework and making sure that we have the best technology and the best solutions for the customer and for the operators in every state in which they operate, so that when we come to market, we're coming strong, and we've started, and we believe that we're very well positioned with the services that we have, whether it's through our own technology and 14 years experience, 21 years experience for myself, the technology, and then, like I said, that subject matter expertise plays a big part.
Yeah, no, I translate because we will have European viewers, so I translate the first innings, the first innings to baseball is a long game, so there's a long way to go in this game. Yeah, this is the first test of 5 tests. If I translate it
Absolutely.
for our European counterparts.
Yeah.
And in terms of compliance in the US, I did want to talk to you a little bit about that and the banking and compliance fragmentations, and how important and how challenging is that in the US market?
I don't know if I'd say challenging. It's obviously very important. We look at it. It's interesting, right? So gaming kind of has this stigma sometimes of it being this higher risk industry, right? But when you think about gaming and payments, you're actually dealing with 2 of the most regulated industries on the planet, right? So especially with what's going on in the U.S., when you're working in the regulated markets, you have to be geolocated. You have to provide your social number. We know where you are. We know who you are. The transaction's there. You're working with a licensed operator that the state has granted a license to and monitors very, very closely. On the payment side, payments are regulated everywhere you look. So really, when you combine the two, obviously you want to make sure, look, you're only working with regulated operators, both from a payment standpoint, but also from the consumer standpoint, right? You want to make sure you're only working with regulated operators. And then, ironically, what we've seen, Joe, is that any fraud rates, when you look at all the different industries, gaming in a regulated environment, time and time again, has some of the lowest fraud rates that we've seen. And we process billions and billions of dollars of transactions, and gaming time and time again, because especially with the European operators who have now come in with all of their experience, close to 20 years, and kind of have applied that now. This isn't new. It's new in the U.S., but it's not new in the world. So that's why you've seen all these partnerships happen, and people have over 2 decades experience doing it. And then I go back to the regulation of the financial services and gaming, 2 of the most highly regulated industries. Is it a little more difficult that you have to roll out on a state by state with all the different rules? Sure, but we feel very confident from a compliance perspective.
Well, yeah, it's great to hear that the tech almost transcends directly, or the approach, should I say, transcends directly, and you can use the more mature European approaches to combat fraud in the US from the outset of legalization. That sounds like a really good step. And are there any other lessons that can be learned from the European market that can be taken, or from any market, should I say? You're obviously well versed in most global markets, so from any global markets that can be taken and transcend to the US market?
Yeah, I think it's from an operator perspective, it's working with trusted partners. It's working with partners. I talked about all the stuff that Nuvei is doing in the industry with the associations, making sure that it's a partner that's committed to the space. You talked about some of those guys that jump in quickly. For us, it's the opposite. We're doing this in a calculated way. We're very excited about it, and you can't underestimate. It's very easy to go from gaming into kind of more mainstream verticals. It's much harder to go from mainstream into gaming. There are some complexities, right? You look at the different, the problems of payment acceptance. How can we help? What are we doing? using our technology to ensure the highest possible, approval rates, the connectivity to the different alternative payment methods that we have, our own acquiring solutions. Again, we talked about Mazuma and our ACH and account to account capabilities. So it's another market for us, right? So we've done this in so many markets, around the world. The US is just one more. And I think when you talk about our technology and the flexibility and our experience specifically in gaming, we think we have a great, a great offering, and we're very excited for it.
Yeah, that is brilliant to hear. And I did want to talk to you a little bit about the alternative payment methods, and specifically the digital currencies. It's something we've seen has really come to the fore, is really elevated in recent months, I would say, and also off the back of the pandemic. What have you noticed about digital currencies, and what are their role in US gaming and in the digitalization of US gaming?
Well, the role in U.S. gaming today is quite small.
Yeah.
I think it'll take a while before it's kind of adopted in the U.S. But look, you see some markets in Europe where it's already allowed. You can get a license to operate a crypto casino. And I think in the U.S., look, it's going to take a little bit longer. But again, I go back to it is that the enablement that we've done with those 40 currencies is we've enabled it in certain markets around the world. But going back to that technology that we have, for us, it's just a matter of turning on the switch, turning on and off in different markets. So when if the operators get the green light from the regulators in their state, well, we'll enable it on our end, right? So when they're working with Nuvei, and again, we look at it almost as different forms of payment. So we're already connecting them for different APMs, different alternative payments, whether it's, credit and debit and ACH and bank transfers and prepaid cards or digital wallets. Now we're going to have the ability to offer them, the cryptocurrencies. And for us, it's again, establishing that framework so that when they say go, we're just able to flip the switch and enable it on their behalf.
Yeah, it feels very, from the outside looking in, it feels like something that will be, when it is adopted a bit more in the US, it will be rapidly adopted and it will become a big hit, almost not quite overnight, but it will be the growth of it will accelerate really quickly. So to be able to simply switch it on with Nuvei will obviously be a massive plus for merchants and for operators.
Yeah, of course. And look, so I think we'll see how the regulation plays out, but for us, we want to make sure we're ready. And again, you talked about compliance before. We want to make sure that everything we're doing is, we have our own vendor registrations in every state in which we operate. So we don't want to do anything to ever compromise that. So as long as the regulations permit, we'll be ready to help.
Yeah. And you touched on it a little bit before, of this period that we've just been through, this year and a half now of the pandemic and of adjusting consumer trends and of changing regulations. How has Nuvei adapted? How has Nuvei helped firms through what has been a really unique period?
Well, what's interesting for us, Joe, is that we didn't really see that kind of COVID bump that a lot of people and a lot of companies saw. And primarily it's because of the verticals in which we operate. So the verticals that we operate in, have to have kind of the three characteristics. They have to have inherent growth. They have to have longevity. And with that growth comes tailwinds. And they have to have the propensity to operate globally. So when you look at the industries we're in, we started seeing the growth before the pandemic. So, because of the vertical focus that we have. So I think what we've seen is it's maybe sped up, a little bit. Some of the, probably the total addressable market has probably kind of, been accelerated. But it's not like our businesses. We don't work with a lot of, small businesses or businesses that, when you look at it, companies that are doing, food delivery. Are people going to go back to restaurants and then that business is going to go down? People that are, no longer going to the gym, and they've signed up for, for online. Are they going to go back to the gym? And are you going to see kind of that spikes? Our verticals are different. So we didn't see that same kind of spike that a lot of people did. In fact, what we thought is that, maybe things have accelerated a little bit, but we didn't see the same impact that a lot of people have.
Okay. And what about in terms of consumer trends and how I guess the general digitalization of payments is that something you think is here to stay and will stick around post pandemic whenever that arrives, hopefully very soon?
I do believe that you'll see a trend. I mean, depending on I believe that payments will be more and more digital. If you look at our own business, the digital business is now, close to 80% of our overall, of our overall volume. So you're seeing it. I absolutely think, especially with the younger generation, um, you know, you're going to continue to see that trend move towards digital. And I'll even relate it back to our industry, right? When you look at, the land-based casino industry, and making that a cashless society, to go back to the previous question, I think that's definitely been accelerated, right?
Yeah.
Kind of removing cash from the casino floor. But the way we look at it is we look at that business as a digital business. So what people sometimes don't understand is you might be using your phone or some sort of electronic device at a slot machine, when you're depositing money in a slot machine or at a table to get more chips. But how are you loading your device? You're doing that in a digital transaction. So we have very close partnerships with people in the space. We're going to be involved in that area as well, where it seems as if it's a brick and mortar transaction, but you're actually doing the transactions in a digital fashion. You might not even be present when you do it. So it's almost an extension of what we are offering to our clients today.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and it's something we've seen grow in the UK market, where obviously talking sort of pre-COVID now, and as retail opens up again, and as the high street opens up again, it will come back to that, where the importance of the omni-channel experience and the single payment experience, is that something that you think will be replicated in the US, where it is an omni-channel experience and it all becomes digitalized?
Yeah, and I look at it. I go back a different way. So whether it's the U.S. or elsewhere, there's a reason why we have 455 different payment methods through a single integration.
Yeah.
And so for us, because our merchants operate globally, it's not just about the U.S. It's what happens in every market that they go to. So you might have different adoption at different times in different places. And that's where I go back to the flexibility of the platform to make sure that we are enabling the most popular payment methods in each region that our operators are at. So again, as they expand globally, we'll make sure that they are well positioned to accept the most popular payment methods in that specific region. And so for us, it's not necessarily what's happening in the US and what's happening here. It's what's happening everywhere, and how can we help?
On a state by state, from a state by state perspective, are there any examples you can give me of where you've had to be flexible in one state, completely different to another state, to ensure maximum consumer engagement for a partner?
Well, I think, look, in the States, there aren't a million different ways that people are going to pay in the States, right? So
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
want to obviously use their credit or debit card. They want to use their bank accounts or ACH, which is, their account to account. They might want to use a prepaid card. They might use a digital wallet or PayPal. But that's really it. There's not like 100 different payment methods. It's what happens within there, and it's the user journey and the experience. So certain states, for example, might not allow you to use a credit card. It might be within the regulations. So again, when you look at our technology, because it's flexible and customizable, well, we're not going to put the credit card option in the field for the merchant to suggest to their customer, use your Visa credit, if we know it's going to fail. That doesn't do anyone any good, right? Sometimes the way that the payouts have to go, does it have to go back to the card? Does it have to go back to the same way the money came in, at least for up to the original amount of the deposit? So it's more understanding the rules and regulations in each state, and then customizing our cashier on behalf of the operator so that wherever they're operating obviously in a compliant fashion, but always going back to how are they helping the customer get the funds into the site as quickly as possible, as safely as possible, and how do they get the funds out of the site back to their bank account or back to their card as quickly and as safely as possible.
So the flexibility really covers two boxes, really, with you're being compliant and also ensuring the smoothest possible user experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. And just to sort of close us off, where it makes me feel a little bit old that I was in the industry for when legalized betting in the US was not a thing. And now I'm hearing it feels a little bit like, obviously the market is still very young, but feels like the dust has settled a little bit on the repealing of PASPA. Feels like that was yesterday's news, and we are moving on from that. We're in, let's say, chapter 2 of US sports betting legalization, if you like. If you look back on the repealing of PASPA, what are and on the opening 2 chapters of the US sports betting, what would you say are some of the lessons that you've learned, and also what advice would you give to new entrants looking into the market?
Well, for the new entrants, I'd say, from an operator perspective, payments, don't underestimate the complexity of payments. Make sure you choose a provider that has the experience, that has the integrations that you need, that has the connectivity, the flexibility. It's absolutely important. When you think about what we're able to bring, it's, imagine if you wanted to have every different type integration type in the US, and you're managing 7 integrations, 7 back offices, 7 back ends. In addition to your acquiring relationships, in addition to your ACH, or account to account payments like a Mazuma. So I would say, choose your payment partner carefully and pick someone that has experience in the space. Lessons learned. Look, I don't know if it's lessons learned. I think it's more just excitement. We get excited when you look at the recent announcement, with the NFL. The last few days, their deals with FanDuel and DraftKings and Caesars. You look at the different leagues, that are now supporting, the sports betting industry. You look at the media companies, whether it's Fox or ESPN or, Valley buying Sinclair. We talked about earlier how quickly things are changing. But for me, it's the excitement of the mainstream media, the professional sports leagues. Everyone is now embracing it. Now that we do have regulation, everyone's embracing it. I think you're going to see more and more states open up. You're going to see more of these partnerships in place. So when we do talk that this is just the early stages of the industry, we believe that. And so now it's about establishing that framework, which we've done. And now it's going to, going out to all the operators that we think, look, there's a ton of room for many, many operators to be there. There's some that are not even in the market yet that have very big plans to enter the U.S. as more states open up. So, lessons learned, it's always going back to the experience. We've seen things in different markets. We've seen that things change. It's having that flexibility when things do change. So we learn from our experience. We have the technology. And overall, Joe, it's really the excitement for the industry. It's going to be fun.
Fantastic. And yeah, I really echo that sentiment. I'm a big mixed martial arts fan, and the way the UFC integrates betting coverage and sports betting information into the broadcast is great to see. It's not blatant sponsorship. It's integrated in. You get insight into sports betting as well as which adds added value to the sponsorship, I guess. And I did have one more for you, which I know Nuvei is a multifaceted company. You really all over the clock, all on the go constantly. So much communication. There's so much going on, and I just wondered how you have found the pandemic working and working from home. I assume, and with so many different elements to what you offer and such a global offering as well.
So keep in mind, I started at the beginning of the year. I started during the pandemic, so I haven't been to an office yet of Nuvei. But as we do have, close to 1,000 people now around the world, our offices are starting to reopen in different parts, which is amazing to see. But I think what it's taught us really is that we really came together, and our business was spectacular in the last year. Which says a lot about the team and the type of people that are a part of Nuvei. A lot of people had tough years, as you know. This was a tough year for a lot of people in the world. Our business happened to do very, very well. Like I said, not because of the pandemic, but I think it showed us that we were strong enough to come together and work in a way that was not always easy for people, being home. But it also allowed people to do things that they probably didn't think they could do before. So even when we do go back to the offices full time, we might go to a bit of a hybrid model. In fact, I think we will be going to a hybrid model where, people who thought maybe they didn't have time to take their kids to school and have dinner with their kids now realize, you know what, they can get everything done during the day and they can still spend more time with the family. We encourage that.
Yeah.
Or someone that wants to go for a run, or, in the day and work out, you could be at the office for 13, 14 hours, but you're probably not working for all 13 or 14 of those hours.
Yeah.
Now with having that flexibility of being home, we think that, we're all about our people and ensuring, not only the safety of them, but making sure that they're happy and giving them that flexibility, like I talked about on our product side, but also the flexibility to the employees to either, be in the office and work from home. I think you'll see a lot of that moving forward in that hybrid model.
Yeah, that is brilliant to hear, and I think that is a sentiment and a lesson that will be learned, across numerous companies as well. And yeah, that is great to hear. And Neil, I can only thank you for your time, and I look forward to, as much as we're all enjoying working from home, I look forward to catching up in person at an event soon, and for an in-person interview, hopefully very soon. And yeah, congratulations on the recent acquisition and IPO, and a massive good luck in the coming months.
Well, I really appreciate it. And again, Joe, thanks for having me. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
Brilliant. Thanks ever so much.
Thanks a lot. Take care.